You know, when we hear the term high conflict divorce, our minds usually go straight to the parents. But what about the child who's stuck right in the middle of it all? Let's get right into this because what often just looks like sadness on the surface is actually a hidden, predictable chain of events, a cascade, that can literally shape a child's entire life.
Just take that in for a second. That's the thought that can end up defining a child's reality after they've been through a broken system. This is the endpoint we're trying to understand today. So the big question is, how does a child get here?
To really get it, we have to see this as a process. It's not one big bad event. It's a cascade of smaller traumas, each one building on the last, kind of like a snowball rolling downhill, getting bigger and more dangerous as it goes.
And let's be super clear. This isn't just a rough patch for a kid. The research is specific, calling it a cascading sequence. It's a domino effect, where one failure in the system, one missed cry for help, leads directly to the next, creating a chain reaction that can seriously damage a child's development. And the stakes, they couldn't be higher. I mean, look at this list. We're talking about everything from deep emotional and developmental harm to the very real possibility that these kids will repeat these trauma patterns in their own adult relationships. This is exactly why we have to understand how this sequence works.
Okay, so this all sounds pretty heavy and, maybe a bit abstract. So how do we make it real? We're going to follow a story. It's a way to put a human face on what is actually a well-documented 25-stage model of escalating harm.
Let's meet Evan. Now, Evan isn't a real person, but his story is tragically real, pieced together from countless actual cases. We're going to follow him from the moment his family starts to break apart, all the way into his adult life, just to see how these stages connect and build on each other. So this is basically the map of his journey. It starts at age 6 with this unspoken, silent fear. By the time he's 10, the system itself is forcing him into contact that invalidates everything he feels. By 17, it's just about survival, numbing and coping. And then as an adult, well, that's when the cycle threatens to start all over again. Right at the beginning, Evan's entire world starts to feel like it's built on sand. Routines disappear, his parents are emotionally checked out, and the one core message that sinks in is that nothing is stable, nothing is safe. And that becomes the foundation for everything that comes next. And he gets pulled into the conflict, fast. He's forced to be a messenger between his parents. That's called triangulation. He even has to become their emotional caretaker, which is a process called parentification. He's supposed to be the kid, but he ends up having to act like the adult. He learns that every single word he says can be used as a weapon. So he learns to stop talking. And this right here, this is the absolute heart of the tragedy. On one side, you have Evan's reality. His world is collapsing. He is terrified. But on the other side, the system that's supposed to help him sees something completely different. They see a manipulative kid, a difficult child, or the product of a so-called alienating parent. It's like they're speaking two completely different languages. And this massive disconnect just gets worse. As he gets older, he's put through this interview gauntlet. Think about it, lawyers, guardians, therapists, all asking questions. And when he finally musters the courage to say he's scared, he's told his fear isn't real. He's then forced into situations that terrify him. His reality is just denied, over and over again. So what do? What does any kid do in that situation? Well, after years of being told that what you feel is wrong, you learn a brutal but powerful lesson for survival. You can't show what you truly feel. You have to create a false self, a mask, to just get through it and keep the adults happy. And this is where the cascade really crashes down. He starts to shut down his emotions. It's just safer. He pulls away from friends because how could they possibly understand? And then, tragically, as an adult, he finds himself drawn to the same chaos he grew up in, unknowingly setting the stage to repeat the cycle all over again. So how on earth does this happen? You might be thinking, where were the adults, the protectors? Well, Evan's story isn't just about his parents. It's about how the very systems that are designed to protect children can end up failing them at every single turn. Now, it's really tempting to look for one single villain in all of this, but that's not how it works. This is about a whole series of simultaneous failures. It's a perfect storm of professionals with confirmation bias, outdated psychological tools, and a profound lack of trauma training, all coming together to make things worse.
So let's break it down. You've got guardians who misread trauma as bad behavior. You have evaluators using tools that weren't designed for these situations. You've got judges under incredible pressure relying on these flawed reports. The legal system itself often ends up rewarding conflict instead of promoting stability. Every single one of these is another tear in the safety net.
Okay, so we've talked about the emotional pain and the systemic breakdown. But what is all of this actually doing inside a child's developing brain? Because this is where the damage becomes physical.
This constant high alert state literally floods a kid's body with stress hormones like cortisol that impairs everything from their ability to make decisions to their memory and concentration. Over time, they develop what's called learned helplessness and a deep chronic sense of shame. Their very identity starts to break apart. This is a profound neuropsychological injury.
And I really want this point to sink in. We have to stop calling this sadness or just a tough childhood. It's not. It is a legitimate developmental injury. It's a wound to the brain with measurable lifelong consequences.
But, and this is a really important but, it doesn't have to be this way. Understanding the problem is the first step. And the good news is, the same model that shows us the path to trauma also, believe it or not, shows us the path to prevention. Think about that. The very map that shows us the road to disaster, well, it also shows us all the off-ramps. By figuring out exactly where the system breaks down, we can design specific interventions to stop this cascade before it ever picks up speed. We can build a better system. So what does that better system actually look like? Well, first, it starts by prioritizing the child's stability above everything else, period. It means requiring mandatory trauma-informed training for every single professional who comes near these cases. It means creating real oversight and enforcing clear, firm boundaries for the parents. Ultimately, when you boil it all down, it's about one fundamental shift in perspective. We have to move away from a system that is obsessed with managing parental conflict and move toward a system that is laser-focused on one thing, creating and protecting stability for the child. Which brings us to our final thought. We have the map. We can see in heartbreaking detail the path this cascade creates. So the question isn't really what happens to these kids anymore. The question is, what are we going to do about it? If we can see the road to trauma so clearly, what is really stopping us from building a road to prevention instead?